One and only Vinita Contractor. Where is Vinita? There she is, bright and smiling as ever. So hello, I'm Hari. Welcome to Vinita Contractor जी. कैसी हैं आप?
I am very well, thank you. आप कैसे हैं?
बहुत बढ़िया है जी. Just as a background info for everyone, Vinita and I kind of know each other. Not no, but we have been interacting at earlier forums on veganism, and yeah, we've been kind of enjoying that little exchange of energies and ideas, and it's a pleasure to actually kind of formally come together for a particular session. Not formally, playfully, we will be doing this on grounding and root vegetables, what helps, what hinders in the process of reversal for diabetes and other metabolic disorders. So thanks, Vinita, for joining in. And we have people joining in, and we are both late thanks to me getting caught up into certain things. Sorry for that little delay. Okay,
It's
so
it's fine. It happens. I just want to first off say it's an honor to be on this forum with you. Thank you very much for having me. And I'm excited to have this conversation with you because we're going to talk about a lot of things which we commonly hold true, and we'll talk from, of course, different perspectives. So I'm excited.
yes. And I'm sure the crowd is also looking forward to the earth element and grounding part besides the root vegetables. I mean, that part is more tangible, and people will also be excited for that in terms of diabetes and other reversals. So I think both components are very relevant for everyone. So let's start with uh, as whatever health coach and good work you're doing through diet and related things to help participants, clients. What's your kind of explanation or messages around the earth element and grounding which you want to give upfront to everyone? You go ahead and share that. I'm going to quickly get hold of a book also and come back by that time, which I want to share with everyone, which will be useful for them. So, Vinita, I'm very much around, and all my last minute preparations and issues have been there. So, you just go ahead and share your bit on the earth element and grounding.
Sure.
I'm listening to everything. I'm just here only. Give me a moment. Yeah,
Sure.
go ahead.
Yes. So we all know that we are made out of 5 elements. In India, we are not new to this idea of Panchadhatu, which is Agni, Dharti, Vayu, Jal, and Akash. So when we talk of the earth element, the first thing that we think of is the land or the earth that we live on. Now, from the perspective of health and the perspective of healing, where I like to introduce it to my clients and people around me, is that we, through our day-to-day hectic modern-day living, are constantly, wired up, constantly creating energy field within us, and the earth has its own energy field. So when we very simply connect ourselves with the earth, we can benefit from the energy that the earth transmits to us. And you might think this is sounding very scientific or very, jargony, but actually it's very simple. How do children in the villages play? How do people in villages or rural India or any part of the world where agriculture is still mainstay, how do people walk? They usually walk bare feet, and without them realizing it, they were constantly in touch with Mother Earth. So in our modern day living, we of course even at home tend to wear slippers. Going barefoot outside is unheard of. Other than I think MF Hussain, nobody dared to do it in many years. Uh, but what it does is that when we are so wired up and we connect ourselves with being bare feet on the ground, the energy of the earth gets transferred onto us, and that helps us in more than one way literally get grounded. So there's physics, there's science, but there's also common sense that we are connecting to the primal energy of the earth, and that helps with not just making us centered and grounded in a physical sense, but it also helps with health ailments, it helps with our immune response, it helps with inflammation, it helps with our mood. Because what you find is that when you walk bare feet, your soles are constantly touching the ground, and that has an effect which won't give you like a jadoo ka feeling. It's very subtle, it's very mild. But when you do it every day, and I know in cities you might think, Vinita, how is it possible to do it every day? But I will suggest ways to you. When you do it every day and a few days you're not able to do it, you'll realize the difference. And I'll let Dr. Tripathi share his thing from the medical perspective, and then I'll come to my personal experience with myself and with clients.
Super. So I think it's a age-old process which is getting revived more and more scientifically. Like even after a jet lag, it seems one of the fastest ways to come out of it is to just plonk your feet onto earth, walk on wet grass, and just lie down on earth to kind of uh, start vibrating with the electromagnetic frequencies which are down on the ground. Okay, it's different to live on the 10th floor of the house, and it's different when the house is flat on the ground. So from a medical perspective, you know what happens is it's been proven that wounds heal 3 times faster, okay, when you're grounding. And I'm referring to a beautiful book called Longevity Now. Okay, it's a very nice book by David Wolf. I read this I think in around 2014 or so. And then there's a chapter on this called grounding technologies. So I'm just going to share a few things from there. And we started implementing at the TRP residential program. And what's written over here makes a lot of sense, because the stress hormones, which we all are running wild all the time. And, you know, Vinita was sharing with me yesterday her stresses very quietly, pre-meeting, you know, every one of us have our own stresses and challenges, okay, which we have to deal with. And the cortisol, which goes up because of stress, which itself creates anti-insulin effect. It can make your sugars go high the moment you're stressed. That hormone can start normalizing by grounding. Very, very important. It also helps to quiet the left brain, which is our linear, logical brain, and also helps to synchronize the brain waves between both the parts. And basically, there is an electromagnetic frequency. I was just trying to search for the exact number. There's a number given somewhere, or maybe people who are interested can read it out. And that frequency is so close to human beings, you know. So that kind of comes together, and we start vibrating at that level, which helps healing by neutralizing the oxygen free radicals also inside the system. And that's where the anti-inflammatory autoimmune conditions start coming down. So there are many, many more things. I don't want to get into too much of things. Let's look at your experience very quickly, Vinita, on yourself, on your clients. What has happened because of grounding? Earth, water, air, you know, wind and space. Pancha Mahabhut. The 5 elements are crucial for us to understand. Today we're looking at the first one. Do share your personal experience and your client's experience. How has it actually benefited?
Yes. So I once stubbed my toe very badly, my toe of my foot very badly. And I was on a farm. It was during lockdown. I was staying at a farm. There was nothing open, no x-ray, nothing possible. And it kept hurting for a few days. And I was suggested, why don't you start grounding on a daily basis? So every day I would sit with my bare feet on soil. Sometimes I would walk, sometimes I would sit, sometimes I would put my feet on grass. But what I did consciously was not keep the mobile phone with me at that time, just so that here I'm trying to get myself the great energy from the earth, and here EMFs are also functioning, so I used to keep it away. And I realized not only was I calmer, but there was a certain rootedness in it. Being centered, it calmed me down. And placing my feet, I did that for not more than 5-6 days, and without any even natural pain relief, homeopathy, nothing. The pain went away. I didn't have to do a cast. I didn't have to do anything. Okay. Now this was a very physical, tangible pain with a bone which felt it had either badly got sprained or maybe a hairline fracture. We don't know because we didn't do an x-ray. Now with clients who I deal with, whether it's fibromyalgia, people with anxiety issues, people with rheumatoid arthritis, depression, or generally people who are a lot on the screen, which is I think most of us today, where they feel there's a certain restlessness, people who complain that they can't sleep very well. They've got very, not restful sleep. I suggest that try and do 2, 3 things at one time. Try and sit in the sunlight so you're getting the fire element. Try and put your feet on the ground. If you must have your phone with you, maybe put it on flight mode. Don't put on wireless, Bluetooth, whatever, but put on some music and actually sit down and find a spot to do it. So how do you do it in an urban setting? You can find a park, a bench maybe where you can put your feet. If you can go to a beach, if you have a beach, you can do that in the monsoons. Go to a waterfall where you can do both water and earthing at the same time, because that also is a very powerful combination. If nothing else, just garden at home. Do a little bit of gardening at home. It's not the same thing, but it comes somewhat close. At least you're touching the earth element. The soles of your feet are the best place to do earthing. If you can lie down in very patla, malmal ka kapda, that would also be great to do earthing. And yeah, I found whichever clients I have suggested grounding to, obviously you can't quantify it. It's not like a blood test with blood sugars where we can quantify this is the difference. But they all have felt much more relaxed, much more calm, and the pain level has definitely come down. And there are other intangible things like the immune response or prevention of chronic conditions, or other things which you can't measure, which it is proving, science is validating that all these things do happen.
So I just want to connect the dots medically of whatever Vinita has mentioned. So one is the healing is faster 3 times is what we saw. Secondly, if you notice all the complaints where the results were faster, which you are seeing like fibromyalgia, restlessness, anxiety, watching the screens, okay, depressions also. In many of these, the wind element increases. Okay, we know at a certain level, solid, liquid, gas is basically molecules which are more spaced out. Even as everyone who are watching us right now, the speed of your thinking, the speed with which your brain is generating waves right now, okay, the whole body in a way, your heart, everything. I would love it to be more grounded. Can we all just keep our feet flat on the ground wherever we are, just flat on the ground, even with your footwear or whatever it is, and just go a little down into the body to the base of the spine by taking a deep breath in right now. Let's, so that the science is even clearer. Come on, take a deep breath in, everyone. Inhale, hold the breath, and keeping your eyes open as you're watching us live or recorded, just go down to the base of the spine. Just go down to the base of the spine where you're seated. Go down to the soles of your feet, the right foot, the left foot. Okay, just be on both the feet, and you will connect that basically when you are getting grounded physically also with earth. We are not right now with earth directly. You're slowing down, okay, your whatever speed with which your thoughts, heart, and entire body vibrations are getting generated. And that's important. In earth element, it's solid, it's at one place. Wind element is all the time moving, mobile, creating dryness, okay, and all kinds of things. So anxiety, okay, restlessness, lack of sleep is such a big issue right now, and consequently the inflammation which comes in, which is also vata in a way from Ayurveda perspective, can be measured, Vinita, by the way, and we've measured it at TRP before and after. One of the ways to measure it is HSCRP, highly sensitive C-reactive protein.
Yes, inflammation, yes, that can be done.
You can measure it, and we've done it before the TRP for certain people, and some of them were curious. TRPs are transcendental residential program where people come and stay with us for 8 days, and it is transcendental in a way because they get a lot of interesting experiences. So they come and stay, and we measure, let's say after 2 weeks of the TRP, a 6 HSCRP has come down to 1 or below, and the whole effect of it sinking into the body. Look, the moment you actually expose, and we all have experience, we go with our family to nature, to tracks, and we all experience the slowing down of the whole system and nurturing of the system, where you feel nurtured from inside, where you feel your aura, your energies are becoming more consolidated, are becoming more earthly. And that's very important that we are solidifying. And that's what base of the spine. Base of the spine is the Muladhara. Okay. That's slower in frequency. If you, as you're listening to me right now also, if you can keep a part of your mind at the base of the spine, no, you'll be in a way strengthening your earth element in the system. That's the rock solid element inside our body. Okay, so there are some connecting dots. So I just kind of want to summarize it very quickly till we come to the root vegetable. I think the second part is going to be very important because that's where the root vegetables grow under the earth and what happens over there. Okay, so connecting the dots, earth and water together form kapha element from Ayurveda perspective, which is more solid, more sedate. There's more inertia in it. Fire comes in between, which is the pitta element. So if you're watching the screens all the time, if you're late in the night in your eating, you're eating after 9 p.m., if you're sleeping after 11 p.m., you're going to increase your fire element also. Acidity increases next day, and also wind. So central part is the fire, and the wind and the space element, which is Vayu and the Akash, they come together to form the Vat element, wind element. And in general, in an urban setting, there is a prakop. I'm using some words, prakop, which is an explosion of the wind element. Okay, a lot of obesity also is not just earth and water, it's a derangement of the inflammatory part of the system, the wind and the space element. Okay, so it can be useful over there, this entire process to kind of help us become more grounded, more collected, more connected, and vibrate at a frequency which is healing for us. We need all five elements. It's not that wind element is bad, because all the activity, which like all the hand movement, all the breathing, we need that also. But excess, like too much of earth,
Excess, all of these.
yeah, too
Correct.
much.
All five have to be in somewhat of a balance
Some
for us to function.
correct.
The issue is when they get imbalanced.
Correct.
That's where the issue is. And what grounding also helps with is it gets your biological clock to function better. It resets your circadian rhythm so much more. Whether it's we keep talking about needing to go to a psychologist or a counselor. Not that they are not needed, but just spending time in silence, doing something like this, just taking that much time out. We've just not taken any time off to not do anything. I think doingness is overrated. I keep saying doing nothing is underrated, and doing nothing doesn't mean vacant. I think scrolling things and watching Netflix is doing nothing. Grounding is not doing nothing. You're doing something very, very potent. And uh, like we were talking, like the CRP is going down is definitely an indication of inflammation going down, but it's not only because of grounding. It's because of multiple things. It's your diet, it's your sleeping on time, you're exercising, you're flooding your system with a lot of goodness. So exclusively for grounding, we won't know how much it came down, but it's a sum total of everything that you do for your lifestyle, for your mind, and for your
Right,
food, with your
absolutely.
diet.
It's quite a complex 8 day stay, I mean,
Yes,
over there, the grounding happens with water also. Whenever there's water in the lake and people actually lie down,
exactly.
just lying down in a stream. Oh my God. And then going to the farm
Yes.
and plucking those carrots or strawberries and eating some raw vegetables on bare feet. And people come from almost 30 countries over there and they just
Wow.
love being there. Very interesting place called Hidden Oasis. I think you've gone and
Yes.
stayed over there.
I've lived there.
Yeah.
I've lived there, so I know how it is. But I have to tell you the secret that I do not start my morning without a smoothie, no matter what. If I'm home, that's the one thing I do. And my boys, my sons tease me about it. Like if anything is left over, any fruit is left over, any vegetable is left over, अरे मम्मी के smoothie में कल डाल दो. So that's the joke. And coincidentally, I'm hosting a raw breakfast challenge starting tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
It is for people to get back to eating the fiber-rich, nutritious, smoothies, fruits, etc. Because for most people, it usually means a very carbohydrate-heavy breakfast, and which makes you sluggish. So I'm also a big believer in eating a plant-based, protein-rich breakfast, but before that having a good serving of fruits and smoothies. And I'm sure that what we're going to talk about right now is also very important because there are a lot of misconceptions around root vegetables.
Correct.
Are they good for people? Are they not good for people?
Yeah, especially
So
diabetics,
yes,
obese, high cholesterol, high BP, thyroid, and PCOD. Let's talk about these 5, 6 conditions. So what's your take on root vegetables' relevance to people with diabetes, obesity, and metabolic disorders? What's been your experience or
yes.
take? Please go ahead.
So I want to firstly say that all root vegetables are not created equal. Okay, just because they are root vegetables, they don't come under a category of do not have or have. It depends on a lot of things. Now, out of the root vegetables, we know that some have a higher glycemic index and some have a lower glycemic index. They all have fiber. Now, when you talk of the ones which are not so bad to have, would be the yams. We forget suran is very, very good. It's not in the same category as normal potato. There's yam, there's carrots, there's sweet potatoes, which are not as bad. And carrot, of course, has a lot of fiber as well, like all the other root vegetables. Now, when we talk of potato and beetroot, of course, they are a little higher in their sugar content and their carbohydrate content. But if you're eating organic produce, if you eat your potatoes or any of these vegetables with their skin on, by nicely thoroughly washing the vegetables, of course, not with mud sticking to them, if you have nicely cleaned them, then the spike is not as bad. Having said that, you shouldn't be, if you're just like we discussed yesterday, if you're just starting off your journey with diabetes, if you have a very high score, then maybe you want to wait till you reach a little better level before you can consume these high glycemic root vegetables. But things like turnip and radish, apna shalgam and mooli are also root vegetables, but they are not high on glycemic index, anything close to potato and beetroot, and they're actually very good for us to eat.
Correct.
They're almost in the cruciferous family in that sense, in terms of its properties. So it depends on your activity level, it depends on your condition, it depends on what stage of diabetes you're at. Like we were discussing, Dr. Tripathi, that not all diabetics are suffering diabetics with 8 or 9. You could just be on the border. You could and I really, when I get this question during my one-on-one coaching with clients, that am I allowed this? Am I allowed that? I'm like, what? There's no such thing as allowed and not allowed. Is it serving your health goal or is it not serving your health goal currently? Other than the obvious things like refined sugar and packaged food and roadside unhygienic food, nothing is not allowed. It's all about moderation. It's knowing when to eat it, how to balance it, and how to have a healthy relationship with food. Because it's literally like honestly, there are so many conflicting opinions in the space of nutrition. It's like the one thing that you and I may be saying no for, somebody else will say yes, and people are just picking and choosing. Isne ye bola, usne wo bola. Their intuition is just not working, and anyway, if you want to have health as a lifestyle and not as a diet, unless you form this little bit of the right frame of mind looking at your food, you're always going to be in that unsure mode and ask whether it's allowed or not.
Correct. And the complexity happens because the category itself, let's say if you look at a diabetes category itself, there's so much of variety. It's an ocean. Like even if you say type 1, there are so many things inside it with different C-peptide levels and height and weight combinations. If you look at a regular type 2 kind of diabetics, 15% of them are thin fat Indians, which is overall they are thin. They're just 55, 60, 65 kg category of people. 15 to in fact 20% of Indians, they're not really obese diabetics. In fact, the BMIs are between 21, 22, 23, sometimes less than 21 also. So that category is different. A young diabetic with 30, 40 is different. After 10, 15 years with insulin, with complication becomes different. And since we treat for 1 year, what we always realize is the same person within 2 or 3 months is changing. every month the person changes, their weight changes, and the journey is typically to reduce weight if it's excess in the beginning and then strengthen muscle. I always say the play between carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen is what we need to understand. So I'll come to root vegetables and relevance, but let's just conceptually digest this first. When you lose weight, when you lose fat, typically, what happens? And there's a very nice TED talk on it, that the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, which is what the fat is made up of, gets converted 84% into water and 16% into carbon dioxide. Okay, so you sweat it out, urinate, and you actually breathe out your fat. If you lost 10 kgs of weight, it's become air or it's become water, literally, in that perspective. They say med se swed banta hai. From the fat, sweating is a upadhatu or a byproduct of fat. Now, when it comes to choosing the root vegetables, yes, no, what you need to be mindful of is your age, your stage of reversal or discipline or whatever you've done. In the beginning, you're trying to lose the fat. Typically, even the thinner guys have to lose maybe 5% of fat at times, okay? And then once you've done that, you need to add the nitrogen to the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, which is the whole journey of amino acids and proteins and building muscle. Till you don't build muscle, till you don't build your stamina for 108 Surya Namaskaras, for 10 kilometer running, for 25 kilometer cycling, which people in 60s do with us regularly now, you are just solving a part of the problem by losing weight or losing fat, okay? So I always feel the transformation is the nitrogen. You're adding that when you kind of convert and make protein. Nitrogen is more available in root vegetables, okay, in general. Okay, that's on the right side. Like for example, let's say smoothie. You like smoothie, right? The moment we want to give smoothie to someone, let's say who is taken on a little bit of running also, little bit, just 3-5 kilometers, we are going to add beetroot to that. And it's proven, Rich Roll has said, it really improves the stamina. People have experimented with it and they improve. So if you're a diabetic, if you come to us for the first 3 months are a little disciplined, strict, all that. Potatoes will be there, but let's say 1-inch pieces, small pieces to be added in the beginning, especially if your sugars are sensitive. The moment you start reversing and your sugars are coming down, your medicines are coming down, your ability to handle the food is improving, you need to increase the intake to check also how are you handling it. Because what you get from root vegetables is something special, different, unique than what you get from other kinds of vegetables, okay? And we need to have all range of vegetables going inside our system. So you add it in relevant one. Like beetroot also will be 1-inch pieces, small pieces in the beginning, first 1 or 2 months, then you will increase it. So beetroot, potatoes, as you mentioned, beginning goes slow and then you purposefully increase it to increase the nitrogen content, increase muscle building happens better with root vegetables. And all those who are thin diabetics, 15-20%, they need to have more of root vegetables, being sensitive to the sugars in general, okay? That's the first take on it. Now, sweet potatoes you talked about. Sweet potatoes is one of the finest items, and on a upwas day or a fast day, many people love fasts and they love doing fast. So sweet potato comes very handy. I mean, a simple grating of sweet potato, okay? I've tried a simple grating of sweet potato. You just put it on a hot tawa and just cover it and add some salt and lime to it. If you want some curry patta to it, not even given any tadka or anything, simple steamed sweet potato. Oh my God, it's heavenly. It's literally heavenly.
Yes.
It's so nice. And of course, if you chop them and you give some little mild treatment and all that, it's really, it's